Hi there, my name is Charles, and myself and Dan are here to answer questions that you posted onto the Google moderator page about the Google Start program. So my name is Charles. I went to Howard University in Washington, D.C. I'm from a little town in Oklahoma called Lawton, Oklahoma. If you've never heard of it, don't feel bad. Nobody ever has. I was an accounting major, and I just graduated in 2009 in May.
And I'm Dan. I went to Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. I studied economics and psychology, and I'm originally from Washington, D.C. And we're going to take your questions now. From MJ Bach in Washington State, we have this question. What positions within the START program are you participating in?
So during the introductory part of the START program, myself and Dan both worked on the job analysis project, which is basically focused on improving Google's job ladders and clarifying what everyone around the company does. So now I'm in my first rotation in the START program, which is PTO, which stands for People, Technology, and Operations. So now we'll move on to our second question, which is from Julie in Chicago. Describe a typical day in the life of a START associate.
The typical day for the life of a START associate is much like the typical day for any other Google employee. Everybody in the START program is put on a project with a team. The teams can be in any department. They can range from as little as 4 people to as big as our team on job analysis was close to 30 people. There's a few minor differences between what starters do and all other Googlers do, in that we have a core base, a network of fellow starters that we can rely on, that we can meet with, that we can have lunch with, and there's also a training component to the START program. So there's trainings and classes a couple times a week that we attend. So let's move on to our third question from Sandra in Rhode Island. What has been the highlight of your experience thus far as an associate in the START program?
So I guess the current highlight of my experience is being able to create a financial literacy workshop for all the members of the START program. In creating that, that was something I just came up with entirely out of the blue after hearing one of Google's senior executives speak to the group. So I was able to work again with one of the Google senior executives to put together that financial literacy workshop, and that's kind of an indication of Google's willingness to allow its employees to do things that are kind of outside the box and do things that pique their interest, because that wasn't part of my core job in any way. It was just something that I thought would be good, so I was able to put that together and kind of deliver that content to all of my peers.
Yeah, and a highlight for me was I did a culinary internship here. We have a ton of cafes where Googlers eat, and I decided to work in one of them for a day instead of doing my core job on job analysis. So starting at 8 in the morning, I prepared lunch for a few hundred Googlers. I made shrimp quesadillas, made vegetable tempura, which I had never done before, and it was hard work, but it was a lot of fun, and definitely a highlight of my time here so far. Okay, let's move on to this question from Laura in Italy. Who of you guys graduated in humanities? Are there any opportunities at all for those who have graduated, who have a degree in that field?
So I actually graduated with a degree in accounting, so I didn't graduate in humanities, but there are a ton of people across the company who did, and I guess Dan can talk more about the humanities aspect.
Well, I studied economics and psychology, but I know people here who've studied English, who've studied history, and there's no really prerequisite in terms of the type of major you need to have a job at. You need to get a job at Google. You can really study anything. Google's looking for people who are passionate, who are leaders, who like to work in teams, and I don't think the company cares that much about what you actually study in school as long as you apply yourself.
Right. So now we're on to our next question, which is from Jean K in Brazil. How can I have an internship at Google?
There's one big internship that a lot of college kids apply to called BOLD. I know in our START class there's a handful, probably about a third of our START class came from this BOLD internship, but a lot of us, including Charles and myself, did not. There's a ruckus going on outside. Did not come from this internship. Do you know any other internships?
Yeah, there are a lot of technical internship programs as well. So for people who are studying computer science or engineering, there are internship programs outside of the BOLD program if you're interested in going into engineering positions at Google. But the vast majority, well, some of them, some people who come to Google come to the BOLD program for the non-technical aspects, but there are a ton of internship programs, both technical and non-technical, for future potential Googlers.
Okay, why don't we go to this last question from Brandon in Texas. What is the best advice that you have to get accepted into the START program?
So one of the important things if you're trying to get accepted into Google or really in any company at all is to make sure you try to focus on your leadership abilities and things that you've done kind of outside the box during your educational experience. Focus on things that you're really passionate about and kind of really show your personality to the people who are interviewing you and to the company that you want to get into. Yeah,
I've noticed just in working here for a few months that almost everybody I work with takes initiative in what they do. They find things they're passionate about, and they work hard to make results happen. And nobody here is really passive. So I think when you're applying, you should look over the last few years in college and think about what have you done to take a leadership role, to make something happen, to make change happen, either at school, outside of school, during your summers. And I think that's going to help you stand out when you're applying.
So before we go, there are a couple of sites that we want to make sure to mention to you. If you want to apply for the START program, go to google.com/students, and this is where you can learn about the START program for recent grads, bold internships for undergrads, or scholarships and other opportunities. If you're interested in becoming a fan of ours on Facebook, please go to facebook.com/Google Students, and if you want to follow us on Twitter, that's twitter.com/Google Students.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.